Hello, Happy New Year. Obviously had a bit of a break from doing videos because it was Christmas and I spent the majority of it making jigsaw puzzles with my son, who's coming up 13 now, and it's really hard to find much to engage him with. He gets a bit competitive about things like games, so they can be a bit contentious, but jigsaw puzzle, you can't really beat someone else at a jigsaw puzzle, so he was well up for that, which was great. And we did that for hours. Tried Monopoly, but they all folded, absolute wimps. And yeah, we just have had a lovely Christmas break of not really having too much to worry about, not thinking too hard or too much about things that don't need to concern us, and enjoying each other's company as a family. And now here we are, beginning of January 2023. Our biggest aim this year is definitely to become more energy independent, and I again strongly recommend that anybody who's watching this and can, please do think about what you're spending your money on and consider maybe earmarking a bit of it for energy independence. We bought, for example, just a few lanterns last year that are battery chargeable. They're great for camping, which we do a lot of in the summer, but they're also a really brilliant alternative to having a light on in the room. So a big part of it for me is not just the act of having something modular, having something chargeable from a variety of sources, and hopefully in the next few years we're going to see a big increase in what those sources may be. Maybe more wind power, maybe more hydro power, maybe more available solar power, but it's also making my children more aware of the impact they have on their own energy use and what they do with it. Going into a room and turning a light on is very, very different to having a lantern that is yours and is your responsibility, that you have to charge and keep topped up and make sure it's functional. And if you don't have that, then when you go to the loo, or when you go and have a bath, or when you want to read something, you don't have any light. So we're kind of not quite at that point yet. We still have the mains lights connected in the house, and we've been on a real solar journey. Like, even just in the last couple of weeks, we've gone from honestly thinking, we're going to buy an inverter and put some solar panels at the back of the garden and grid tie in the inverter and make sure that we have electric that runs through the plug sockets that already exist in the house, which I think is a really great idea if you've got some money, you own your own home, you've got a sparky friend who can help, because those are the big things that are going to cost or are going to be barriers to you grid tying in a solar system. Huge benefits to grid tying in solar. So just to backtrack slightly, if you're looking at getting a solar system, there's two main options. You have off-grid and you have on-grid. On-grid is very, very popular. People in our position who have a house which is already fed by grid mains electric. So you're connected to the national grid, and that's where you get your electric from currently. The reason why it's popular is because you don't really have to change much in your day-to-day life. Your light switches still work, your plug sockets still work, everything kind of runs as normal, except you are providing some or all of the electric that you use from solar panels that you put up on your roof or in your garden. Now, there are so many companies that do solar, and they're so big, and they talk about solar as this massive thing that you have to kind of be very much all or nothing to do. and I want to kind of try and take us back from that. So I've been trying to learn a lot about solar so that I can kind of get a good idea of what I need and what my family's needs are. For Christmas this year, as a family, we bought a small 120 watt solar panel. It's black and it's a folding solar panel, which is brilliant because it means we can take it camping, and it's a perfect size to attach to our leisure battery. Our leisure battery is 110 amp hours, which doesn't really mean a lot if you don't know what that means, but for us it means around 4 days of charging the laptop once a day, charging our phones once a day, having lights on in the tent, that kind of level of usage. So that gave us a really good basis for what we wanted to achieve with our solar system. It also meant that we could buy a solar panel and already have the stuff that transferred that solar energy into something usable, into a power bank, which meant that we could use it. Fantastic. Solar panel was 125 quid. Came with a solar controller, which is great. Plug it straight into a battery. The battery was also about 125 quid. We bought it from Halfords, so it's very basic leisure battery. Probably get them cheaper online, as with both things from Halfords, but there you go. And we bought a battery box for 60 quid, which is a plastic, essentially, container that the battery sits in, and that just gives you a 12 volt feed out, which is like a cigarette socket, which you can plug things into. It's very, very basic. Now, you don't actually need a battery box if you've got a battery in situ, because there's no damage to it. But if you're in any way moving your battery around, you want it to be protected because you don't want to knock those things too much. They work by cells being flooded and having an electric pulse put through them and charging, so you don't want to be shifting them about too much. What that's meant is that even in December we've been able to put our solar panel out and see how much charge we've managed to get from from our battery, and actually it's been really surprising. Even in winter, modern solar panels will provide you with electric. Now, it might not be enough to run your dishwasher, your washing machine, your cooker. It might not be enough to run your fridge all day and night. Those things might be like too much right now, but imagine how much less electric you'd use if your lighting and your phones and your laptop and those sorts of things were all charged through a solar panel. You're going to save quite a bit. We spend on average about £40 a week on electric at the moment. I know that that's far less than some people, and it might be more than others, but that's kind of our general usage. Based on the national average, it's about half what families our size use, and I think that's because I'm quite energy conscious, as is my husband. We've already kind of moved to slightly garish LED bulbs, which fortunately have got a bit better of late, and been conscious about how much energy we're using and when. We don't, for example, have a tumble dryer. We've got a heated airer which we put in front of our wood burning stove. Things like that make a huge difference, but they are only available if you live in a certain way. Without a wood burning stove, the damp clothes that we put on our heated airer would make our house damp. So it's not necessarily an answer to everybody. So it's really important that you have a look at your household energy use and see what you can do with it. What I've realised in the last couple of weeks is how much energy we use and where we use it. So initially I was like, cool, grid tie system, somebody will come. I was kind of led a bit astray. I believed grid tie systems were a lot less complex than they are, and they need to be safe. And when I found out that they were more complicated, I moved away from thinking that that was the best idea for us. So grid tie system, you know, it's tied into the consumer unit of your house. It tells the grid that you're producing energy. And if you have it signed off by a proper solar installer, which I'm in two minds about actually, because DIYers can do exactly the same job, provide exactly the same electricity to the grid, and are considered just as safe according to, you know, housing insurance or to building regulations or whatever. But the solar companies have said, unless it's these particular guys putting in those things, we won't pay you for your electric. I think that's a bit, you know, stick it to the man a bit, isn't it, you know? Anyway, so you have that option. We looked into that. We got quite heavily invested in that. We were like, right, we're going to get everything we need together. We're going to get the permissions that we need. We're going to get the solar engineer that we need. And we're going to start getting the 12 pence a kilowatt hour or whatever it is that you earn from the grid by making solar. However, this all starts to turn out to be very expensive. And it's all based on other people saying yes or no to you. And if there's a power cut, you don't have any electric because the grid will shut you off so that it can prevent surges which would impact people fixing pylons or whatever. So, after seeing how much electric we created just from a tiny solar panel laid on a sunny roof on a December day, we have decided that as a family with very limited energy use, that we are going to build ourselves a small 12-volt system and that will run our household. It's been a massive journey to get there. It's been such a journey that at one point I was up until 5 a.m. having a mad panic attack because I was so worried that we'd entrusted our very precious money, because it's scarce, you know, to this guy who had no idea what he was doing and wanted to put an illegal grid tie system into our home, which would just never have, it's just no way. No, your house insurance is gone. Yeah, something goes wrong, everything is gone. And when I realised this, I questioned him, he got really upset. He'd also done a similar system in a friend of mine's home, and I had to tell them, you know, look, if you actually research what this man's done, it's been a drama, but hey, that's where we're at. We use most of our electric in the south side of our house. So the PlayStation is on the south side. Our TV and the Wi-Fi and stereo all on the south side. So why not put some solar panels on the south side of the house? Make your own electric. Then you don't need the grid. That works out massively cheaper, especially when you move away from this newfangled idea that you need a lithium battery. So the biggest expense that we found was batteries. A 200 amp hour leisure battery, which is what we're looking at buying because that's kind of, you know, is about 200 quid. Yeah, 159 if you buy two of them, which we probably will. For the same in lithium is 850 quid. That's a huge, I mean, it would have to be much better, wouldn't it? For it to be 4 times the price. Are they that much better? You know, they've got these guarantees and they've got this, but in 5 years, when these batteries need to be replaced, is there not going to be so much of an improvement in technology that actually we've wasted our time and we've wasted our money paying out for these huge things, and actually they're not things that we can afford. So we've set out a specific area in the house. We've looked at different places we can put different solar panels. We've worked out how much roughly it will cost not even to have the whole house done, but to just say, okay, we're going to cover all our phones, or we're going to cover all our phones and our lights, or hey, we're going to buy an inverter and we're going to get the TV to run from it, or get the PlayStation to run from it. And you start to build these things up. You can start from a budget of so little, maybe 500 quid, and then you have the freedom of not worrying about power cuts, or about if they're going to put the electric bill up 400% again, or if this or that or the other is going to happen, and you can start watching your energy bills drop. So the majority of my Christmas has been learning about solar panels and batteries, and realizing that, you know, rather than buying old solar panels, buy new ones. The new black ones, they will make electricity from moonlight, you know. They are so good at what they do. So it's almost better to buy a big new panel, just one, rather than a whole line of older ones, because the technology in the last 5 years even has moved on so much. Monocrystalline black sheer solar panels is what we're going to buy, and we're just going to bolt them everywhere that we can find that's got some sunshine, and we'll let you know how it goes, you know. So please, even if you've just got 50 quid, if you've got 50 quid, buy yourself a lantern that you can recharge. Got 100 quid, get yourself a solar panel. Don't worry too much about having everything, because I assure you, if you buy a solar panel and a solar controller, and these solar controllers have got USB sockets attached to them, you will find stuff that you can charge. Even if you can't store energy right now to use later on, you can charge your phones, you can charge your laptop, you can make the decision to charge your lights during the day while it's light, and use that power later on. We've been looking around at all the things we have already that are modular, you know, that have batteries. My mobility scooter, easy to charge the solar panel. We can do this, and the more of us that understand that, the freer that we are from these companies that are just absolutely destroying the quality of life of the people around us. So Happy New Year from me, and I hope that everybody's New Year's resolution this year is to become more energy independent, because that's where it's at.